The Amazon is being destroyed in Brazil, and for the past 4 years, the destruction, the burning of the Amazon has accelerated under the leadership of Bolsonaro, who caters, like the Republicans here in America, Bolsonaro caters to the logging, mining, farming, and fossil fuel industries that profit off the destruction of the Amazon and our entire planet. Bolsonaro is a fascist who claimed election fraud a year before last October's election, which he lost to Lula. Bolsonaro, a fascist, was advised on the whole election fraud thing by Steve Bannon, fascist, as well as several other Trump staffers, including Donald Trump, fascist. That's why on January 8th of this year, this happened in Brazil. The supporters of Bolsonaro, low information ignoramuses who believe the big lie that the election was stolen, they stormed the presidential palace, the Supreme Court, and they stormed Congress in an attempt to restore Bolsonaro to office. Fascists love Bolsonaro. Here's how the fascist, Tucker Carlson, who never met an authoritarian he didn't love, here is how Tucker Carlson reported on this attempted insurrection.
A convicted criminal called Lula da Silva is now the president of the most important country in South America.
A convicted criminal, Lula da Silva. Lula is a leftist. He is perhaps Brazil's greatest president. This is not the first time he was president. And when he was president before, he lifted millions out of poverty. Yes, Lula went to prison for more than 500 days because he was the victim of political persecution conducted by Bolsonaro's party. Calling Lula a convicted criminal is like calling Dr. Martin Luther King a convicted criminal. Yes, the two men were arrested for the wrong reasons by the wrong people. But Tucker Carlson, in the service of white authoritarian nationalism, spreads the lie that Lula is a criminal. He is not. Tucker also spreads the lie that Lula stole the election, the same way Fox News spread the lie that Joe Biden stole the election. Bolsonaro was president. Trump was president. The two men had all the power of the presidency, and yet they both had the election stolen from them. Here is some more of Tucker.
Millions of people in Brazil understand exactly what happened. They know that their democracy has been hijacked, possibly forever.
A lie. If their democracy was hijacked, it would have been by Bolsonaro and not Lula. But Tucker, it's so easy to lie when your audience is ill-informed. Please continue, liar.
But there's not much they can do about that. Lula may be a criminal, in fact he is, but he has the full support of both the Biden administration and the Chinese government. So yesterday, in frustration, a group of Brazilian protesters swarmed their legislature.
A group of protesters swarmed their legislature. That's how he describes the insurrection of January 8th in Brazil. Just, a group of frustrated protesters. Out of frustration, it was, perfectly harmless and understandable, according to the fascist white nationalist Tucker Carlson. Then Tucker brought in journalist Matthew Tarmond.
It turns out, as the plot usually does thicken in these situations, that there were many an agent provocateur yesterday at these buildings and doing incredible gross damage, breaking windows and such. And it looks like this is turning into a Reichstag fire and being used to clamp down on these democratic protests.
Right. It's a Reichstag fire, which Hitler used to get the Enabling Act passed. He uses the term agent provocateur by using the word agent provocateur, that the people storming the presidential palace and Congress and the Supreme Court, they weren't Bolsonaro supporters, they were agent provocateurs. That means they would be Lula supporters pretending to be Bolsonaro supporters. The same way Tucker said January 6 had agent provocateurs, that they were not Trump supporters. They were Antifa. Remember that? Antifa stormed the Capitol. Antifa, a non-existent organization, by the way. I want you to pay attention to how careless and dangerous Tucker Carlson is. Watch Tucker's reaction when he hears his guest use the term agent provocateur. Tucker finds it amusing.
Agent provocateur yesterday at these buildings and doing incredible gross damage, breaking windows.
See how he's laughing? Like he hears the term agent provocateur, and he just thinks, yeah, I see what you're doing. You're doing what the CIA does. He just thinks it's so funny. You know, people are going to get killed, but it's funny because it's just a game to him. It's all a game. It's just lies. Say whatever you need to keep your audience stupid and ripe for fascism.
And now they've set up a concentration camp where 1,200 Brazilian citizens are locked in the gymnasium and grounds of the Federal Police Training Center in Brasilia.
Reichstag fire, concentration camps, the very thing fascists, Nazis like Tucker Carlson and this guy Matthew Tyrmand would support, concentration camps, you know, so long as those camps were filled with the leftists. It's the fascist playbook. They use the tools of the right, concentration camps, Reichstag fire, and then they twist it back on the people to make it sound like it's the left. It's Lula who is the real fascist. You know, it's Dr. Joseph Goebbels, it's Dr. Frank Luntz, who would be very proud of you, Tucker. I'm sure Dr. Frank Luntz, he's on Fox News all the time, and I'm sure he's done some free consulting to people like Tucker Carlson on how to twist language back on the left. What's the term? Gaslight? This is all what Dr. Joseph Goebbels and Dr. Frank Luntz have taught the fascists in Germany and now in America or in Brazil. So call things what they are not. January 6th, that wasn't an insurrection. That was just a protest. A lot of frustrated people. When you twist words, when you repeat lies over and over, you destroy the teachings of Jesus. You destroy what was really written into our Constitution because you've twisted language. Nothing is true. And it paves the way for morbidly obese bullies like Donald Trump to get elected president, lying and lying, twisting the tables, turning language upside down. And it allows morbidly obese bullies like Donald Trump to actually get away with making fun of people by calling them fat. Donald Trump, at his rallies, makes fun of fat people. That's what Dr. Joseph Goebbels and Dr. Frank Luntz have done to our language.